Vitamin C is really important for preventing things like scurvy. The old illness that sailors used to get from not being able to eat any fresh fruit, where your gums start bleeding, old scars start opening up, you can't heal wounds properly. That's not a very pleasant way to live.
Sounds like a zombie film.
Yeah, it really eat all meat and get scurvy. Yeah, that does sound like a zombie film. There are potential consequences in terms of eating too much meat. And if you're only eating meat, it's very likely you will be eating too much meat. So too much meat presents risks of things like too much saturated fat. Saturated fat increases our risk of the bad cholesterol going high in our blood, which increases our risk of heart disease and cardiovascular disease. And they're going to be very low in all of the other good things that come in our other foods. Our vitamin C, our fibre, our vitamin K, they're primarily from plant sources.
What are the possible negative consequences of lacking those things in your diet?
Vitamin C is really important for preventing things like scurvy. The old illness that sailors used to get from not being able to eat any fresh fruit, where your gums start bleeding, old scars start opening up, you can't heal wounds properly. That's not a very pleasant way to live.
Sounds like a zombie film.
Yeah, it really eat all meat and get scurvy. Yeah, that does sound like a zombie film.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And fibre is really important for our gut health. So our gut bacteria actually make some of the nutrients that we use in our body, as well as providing a lot of important signalling molecules that do things like tell us that we're full, or do things like help us regulate our blood sugar and our appetite, desire for eating. Vitamin K is a little bit trickier in terms of what it does. It definitely is an essential nutrient, but it has a bit more, less obvious, I guess, consequences in terms of a deficiency. But what I would say is that when you're thinking about deficiencies and the things you're missing, not all these things manifest immediately. The body's really good at what we call homeostasis, and homeostasis is keeping things in the normal situation.
There's also a strain of argument from proponents of the carnivore diet, basically that nutrition science has kind of got it all wrong. There's like a big misunderstanding, and there's like an orthodoxy that doesn't take account of new information that's emerging, and that they're kind of at the forefront of that. Now, obviously, that's a pretty big thing to debunk, but what do you say to that?
Well, I think every conspiracy theory starts with the idea that the experts have got it wrong and haven't done the research or have some vested interests. But really, I think that comes from a misunderstanding of what nutrition science is. So people think that there needs to be a randomized control trial, an intervention where we compare people on one diet to people on another diet to know what is a healthy diet to recommend for people. But that's actually a very impractical, high-cost, unethical, and almost impossible way of doing things, because we can't randomize people into those diets for a very long-term study. So we don't make decisions in nutrition off the back of single studies or segregating people into different groups. We make decisions based on the body of evidence, a large amount of evidence, a great number of studies. So we don't typically study people on the carnivore diet because that would be unethical, because we know from the body of evidence that we have already that putting people on a carnivore diet could do them harm. So it would be unethical for us to do that study.